Hello everyone, welcome to Arth. I am Amit Kumar. Friends, in this lecture, we will discuss 10 MCQs of polity that is based on static portion, right? Static portion. And every day, as you know, that we discuss 10 MCQs of polity based on static portion. And for PDF of these MCQs, right, you can click on the link given in the description box and join the Telegram channel. You can easily download the PDF of these MCQs, right? So today's topic is, right, constitution, right? Today's topic is constitution. In the last topic we have discussed the topic constitutionalism, but today's topic is constitution, and today we will discuss 10 MCQs that is based on constitution, right? What happens that UPSC ask conceptual question, right, especially related with these basic concepts, right? If your concepts are clear, you can easily handle this or tackle this type of questions, right? So let's see what do we have, or the first question, right? So first question says, which of the following statements about the concept of constitution, right, about the concept of constitution is or are correct, right? So simply this is very basic and conceptual question, right? This question asks about the basic concept of constitution, right? See the options. It says, statement 1 says a constitution is always a written document. No, right? You must be knowing that Britain, right, does not have a written constitution, right? In my lecture, okay, I have discussed what is difference between constitutionalism and constitution, and in that lecture I have explained why some countries have written and some countries have unwritten constitution. And one more thing I would like to tell you here, that if no country has completely written constitution or completely unwritten constitution, right? For example, Britain, even it has unwritten constitution, but some of its parts, some of its provision are written, right, in the form of acts, bills, conventions, right? Right? So conventions are not written, they are followed conventionally, right, from or over the period of time, right? And in even some countries, for example USA or India, have written constitution, but in spite of that there or some provisions are added later and even will be added in upcoming years, right? So this is not correct. Second statement says it acts as a source of power and limitation on all branches of government. Obviously constitution is what? It is nothing but source of power, right, for government, right? From where does the government derives its power? The constitution. And from where does the constitution derives its power? From the people, right? And also it provides limitation, right, on or limitation for all branches of government, right? For example, legislature, judiciary, executive, right, all these are branches of government, right? They have limitations, right? They cannot act in arbitrary manner, right? Or generally they do not interfere in each other's function, right? So this statement is correct. Last statement, it is essential for the existence of any modern political system. Any, focus on the term any, right? So whenever you find such terms, any, all, none, right, so be careful, right? So listen, though for a country to exist or a modern political system, it requires a constitution, but it is not necessary to have a constitution, right? Without constitution, right, constitutionalism can exist. In my lecture I have discussed that constitutionalism can exist without constitution, without a written constitution, right? Best example is Britain, right? So this statement is also not correct, right? Now see the, so you can clearly see that only statement 2 is correct. Now see the options. It says select the correct answer using the codes below. A says 1 and 2 only, no. B says 2 only, obviously, so B would be the right answer, right? C says 2 and 3 only, no. D says 1, 2 and 3 only, no, right? So our correct answer would be option B, right? That is, the concept of constitution or constitution acts as a source of power and limitation for all branches of government, right? Now move towards the next question. right? Explanation is given here, right? You can check. Now we will move towards our next question. Next, it says, which of the following statement, right? Which of the following statements best defines, right, a constitution, right? Here, I would like to suggest you that even in such type of question, right, where single response or only one option is correct, right, you should be very careful. What happens that generally such type of UPSC plays with your mind, right? Such statements are very close, right? If you do not read carefully, you will pick the wrong answer, right? So be very careful, especially while dealing with single response question, right? So read, even if you think that first option is correct, in spite of that you should read all the options properly, right? So read first option. It says, right, a written document means, it says best definition of constitution. No, so constitution, a written document that outlines the structure of government and laws. Obviously it is a power map, right? In my lecture I have told you that constitution is nothing but power map, right? Power map means what? It outlines the structure of government and laws, right? Second, a set of fundamental principles and precedents that govern a nation, right? Obviously it is also correct that it is a set of fundamental principles. Constitution is nothing but, you can call it fundamental law of the state or land, right? This is also correct, right? Next is a legal framework providing for government powers and individual rights, right? So see, these statements are correct, but see this statement. It says constitution is a legal framework providing for government powers and individuals rights, right? Both, it talks about both aspect, not only powers of government but also rights of individuals, right? So constitution not only provides powers to the government but also it provides certain rights to protect the individuals, right? So this would be the right answer, but read the last option too, right? A static document, right? Focus, static document, right, ensuring the rule of law and continuity of governance, right? No, generally what happens that constitution should not be static, right? It should be organic, right? Evolving, right? So C would be the right answer, right? C would be the right answer. Means constitution is a legal framework providing for government powers and individuals right, right? This is the best definition of constitution as per the given options, right? You can check, right? So this is the correct answer. Now you can see the explanation, right? C is the correct answer and explanation is here, right? Now we will move towards the next question. Third question, it says, in the context of constitutions, right, constitutions, right, what does the term living document imply, right? I told you, no, that constitution should not be static, it should be organic, it should be living. So what is the meaning of living constitution as a living document? Living means what? For example, we are living beings, right? Animals, plants, human beings and all other creatures are living beings, right? So what is the actual meaning of living document? Constitution as a living document, does it breathe, does it grow? No, actually one of the basic characteristic of any living organism is change, right? Or you can say adaptation according to the or over the period of time, right? So see, in simple terms I would like to tell you that living document means, it says, just read the option then I will explain. First option says a constitution can be altered without any formal procedure. No, right? It is not necessary, right? Constitution can be, generally whenever there is constitution, no, it is altered with a formal procedure, right? B says a constitution adapts and evolves over time to meet changing circumstances. I told you that what is the basic characteristic of a living organism? What? Adapt adaptation and evolution, right? Changing over the or changes over the period of time. So this should be the right answer, but read other options too, as I suggest you, right? A constitution remains static and unchangeable. No, actually this is contradictory, right? Living means changing, right? Adapting, evolving, right? D says a constitution only applies to democratic society. No meaning of this statement, right? So the correct answer would be option B, right? Constitution as a living document means or implies that it a constitution adapts and evolve over time to meet changing circumstances, right? So B is the right answer, right? See the explanation, right? Now we will move towards the next question, fourth question, right? It says, which of the following features, right, distinguish a constitution as federal, right? A constitution as federal, right? So what is the simple meaning of federalism? Division of power between the central, or you can say federal or union government, and the state or regional or provincial governments, right? So it says, if you know, listen, if you know the meaning of federalism and the elements of federalism, you can easily tackle this question, right? So first says supremacy of the constitution. Obviously in any federal, or if the constitution is federal, right, it should be, or there should be supremacy of constitution. Why supremacy of constitution? Because both the federal or union government and provincial or state government derive their powers from constitution, right? States are or provinces are not subordinate to the federal or union government, right? Do not have misconception, right? For example, in India, states are not subordinate to union government, right? Both derive their power from the constitution, right? Though the center or union government plays the role of big brother, right? But ultimate power lies in the constitution, right? So this is correct. Again, second, distribution of powers between central and regional governments. Obviously that is the actual meaning of federalism, right? Again, presence of a single citizenship, right? No, actually this is unitary feature, right? Again, for independent judiciary, right? Obviously, right, to uphold the supremacy of constitution, there should be independent judiciary. Why? Because judiciary has power to interpret the constitution, right? And if judiciary is not independent, how would it define or interpret the constitution and maintain the supremacy of constitution, right? So you can clearly see statement 1, 2 and 4 are correct, right? Now see the option. It says select the correct answers using the codes below, right? So A says 1 and 2 only. No. B says 1, 2 and 4. Obviously 1, 2 and 4 are correct. So B would be the right answer. C says 2 and 3 only. No. D says 1, 2, 3 and 4. No. Right. So the correct answer is option B. That is statement 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Right. You can see the explanation. Right. Now we will move towards the fifth question. Right. So it says, which of the following reflects the function, right? Function of a constitution in modern state, right? So simply this question asks about the function of a constitution, right? If you know about the function of constitution, you can easily answer this question, right? So first statement says, right? First statement says establishing authority of a state over its territory. Obviously, right? One of the function of constitution is to establish the authority, right, of a state over its territory, right? Second says balancing individual rights with collective interest. Obviously, right, when for example constitution provides certain rights to its individuals, right, or citizens, right, again simultaneously it try to balance the collective interest, right? Means while enjoying their freedoms or rights, okay, they should not violate others rights, right? They should always consider collective interest, right? Third says providing guidelines for state policy and governance. Obviously, right? I told you that what is constitution? Power map. Power map means what? Clearly demarcates the powers of the organs of government or government organs of state, right? And again, what it also provides guidelines for state policy. For example, DPSPs, directive principle of state policies. These are given in the constitution, right? These are nothing but guidelines for state, right? Fourth says restricting the ability to amend the foundational principle. Obviously, foundational principle means you can say doctrine of basic structure, right? Basic structure. There are certain foundational values, foundational principles or basic structure that cannot be altered, right? These are restricted, right? Though constitution can be amended, but their foundational principles or basic structure cannot be amended, right? So you can clearly see that all the options are correct, right? All these are functions of a constitution. So the correct answer would be A says 1, 2 and 3 only, no. B says 2 and 4 only, no. C says 1, 2, 3 and 4. Obviously all statements are correct, right? D says 1 and 3 only, no. So the correct answer is option C, that is all statement 1, 2, 3 and 4 are correct, right? See the explanation, right? This is the explanation, right? Next, sixth question. Again, this is about objectives of a constitution. In the previous question, we have seen the functions of constitution. This question asks the objectives. What are the objectives of constitution? Okay, so it says consider the following objectives of a constitution, right? So first says to establish a framework for governance. Obviously, this is one of the objective of the constitution, right? Second says to secure political stability by codifying power relations. That's why I told you that constitution is what called power map, right? It clearly codifies the power relations, what kind of power the organs of state, for example legislature, executive and judiciary have, right? And to check their arbitrary action, there is one method called method of checks and balance, right? So this is also correct. Third says to enable executive to exercise supreme authority. No, right? This is extreme sentence, right? No one actually, where there is constitution, the constitution try to balance, right? Though it gives separation or has separation of power, but it try to balance the actions of organs of state, right? So there is no supremacy of either organ of state, either executive, legislature or judiciary. Okay, they have some kind of balance, right? First is to protect individuals' freedoms and rights. Obviously, it is one of the basic. Listen, the basic objective or function of a constitution is first to provide a framework for governance, right? And second, to protect individuals' rights, freedoms, right? So you can clearly see statement 1, 2 and 4 are correct. Now see the options. It says which of the above are correct objectives of a constitution, right? Option A says 1, 2 and 3 only, no. B says 1, 2 and 4, obviously, right? We have seen statement 1, 2 and 4 are correct. C says 2, 3 and 4, no. D says 1, 3 and 4 only, no, right? So the correct answer is option B, that is statement 1, 2 and 4 are correct, right? You can see the explanation, right? Next we will see the seventh question, right? So it says which of the following statements, right, statements best captures, right, best. Again single response question is there, so you should read all the options carefully, right? And focus on the term that it demands the best, right? Best captures the relationship between constitution and democracy, right? I told you no that it is not necessary, right, that a democracy should have a written constitution, right? And it is also not necessary that if there is a constitution it means the state or country is democratic, right? And it is also, it may happen that a democratic country or state have a constitution. All these three options are there, right? So first option says a constitution guarantees democracy through universal adult franchising, right? You can say that this statement, okay, it says constitution guarantees democracy through universal adult franchising. Universal adult franchising means every individual, right, who is adult, okay, can participate in voting procedure, right? That is the simple meaning. For example, in India, anyone who is 18 or above, right, can cast vote, right? Second says democracy is dependent on the principle enshrined in a written constitution. Not necessary, right? I told you that democracy can exist even without a written constitution, right? So this statement is also not correct. This is also not correct, right? She says a constitution lays foundation for democracy by defining the rules of political engagement. Obviously, right? A constitution though defines different things, but in case of a democracy, right, the or it lays foundation, right, for democracy, right? Foundation for democracy. How? By defining rules of political engagement, right? How political masters, or right, simply here you should know that whenever we say political masters or government in real sense, you should understand or connect them with executive, right? So this should be the right answer. But read the last option. Democracy can exist without a constitution if people's participation, it governance is ensured, right? So not necessary, right? So C would be the right answer, right? So best captures the relationship between constitution and democracy is what? A constitution lays down the foundation for democracy by defining rules of political engagement, right? This would be the right answer, right? Now check the explanation, right? This is the explanation. Now see the seventh question, right? Sorry, eighth question, right? So it says in the context of constitutionalism, right, which of the following is a violation of constitutional principle? Violation, right? So if you want to understand the concept of constitutionalism, you can watch my lecture, okay? I have discussed in very much detail, right, what is constitutionalism and its other aspect, and also I have compared constitutionalism and constitution, right? Your every doubt will be cleared. Just go and watch that lecture, right? So it says violation of constitutional principles in context of constitutionalism, right? So constitutionalism is more important than constitution, right? It is actual, in actual sense, it is considered as soul, or you can say soul, spirit, philosophy, or ideology, right? So first says delegation of legislative powers to the executive. No, this is not the violation of constitutional principle, right? Sometimes the legislative powers, right, can be delegated to the executive, right? It is not violation, right? B says curtailment of fundamental rights through constitutional amendments, right? No, this may also happen, right? This is not violation of constitutional principle. For example, you would be knowing that by 44th constitutional amendment act, one of the fundamental right, that is right to property, right, has been removed from the list of fundamental right, and currently it is a constitutional right, not fundamental right. Under which article you can comment, right? Under which article right to property is a constitutional article, a constitutional right, okay? You can comment the name of article, right? C says dissolution of an elected government by the head of state without just cause, obviously. So this is related with what? Article 356. Okay, so what happens that you would be knowing president's rule. When president, right, imposes president's rule in a state, right, in arbitrary manner or without any just cause, right? Just cause means valid reason, right? Then it is considered as violation of constitutional principles. Because what happens that elected government, right, is nothing but a government that is that or that has been elected by the people, right? And if head of a state, right? Who is the head of state? It is the president, right? In case of India, right? If he dissolves the elected government without any just cause, valid reason, right, then it is considered as violation of what? Constitutional principle, right? So this should be the right answer, but read the last option. It says enactment of laws on subject outside the legislative list during national emergency. No, this can happen, right? For example, if a subject that is not included in the legislative list, then during emergency such law can be enacted, right? So this is also not correct, right? So the correct answer, right, correct answer would be option C, that is dissolution of an elected government by the head of state without just cause is what? Clear violation of constitutional principle in context of constitutionalism, right? See the explanation, right? Option C is correct, and this is the explanation. See the ninth question, right? So it says which of the following best explains, right? Best explains the term transformative constitution, right? So transformative constitution simply means what? It transforms, right? Transforms means what? It changes its own provisions, okay, or sometimes includes some provisions or repeal or removes certain provisions, right, as per the changing needs of society and people, right? So it's first says a constitution that promotes gradual and incremental change in society. Actually, not gradual, but when we say transformative, no, it is little bit faster, or you can say radical, right? Not gradual or incremental, right? So this is not the correct option, right? B says a constitution that aims to radically alter, right? That aims to radically alter sudden, right, existing power structures and inequalities, for example, what? Inequalities like social, economic, right, or political. Such type of inequalities are altered, right? So this should be the right answer, but read the other options too. C says a constitution that adapts to international norms and practices over time. No, right? It should change or radically change uh, according to the existing what? Power structure, and what? Remove inequalities. In which kind of inequalities? I told you social, economic, political, right? But last option, a constitution that resists any kind of, see, it resist. No, this is contradictory statement, right? It should be radically changing, right? That is the actual meaning of what? Transformative constitution. So this statement is also incorrect, so B is the right answer, right? B is the right answer, right? Now check the explanation. Obviously I told you a constitution that aims to radically alter existing power structures and inequalities, right? And which kind of inequalities? I told you social, economic, and political inequalities, right? Right, now we will see last question of the day. It says which of the following best distinguishes, right, best distinguishes or differentiates between a rigid and flexible constitution. So what is the basic difference between rigid or a flexible constitution, right? For example, Britain has highly flexible constitution, USA has very rigid constitution, and India has a blend of both flexible as well as rigid, right? So how it is determined, right? So read the options. First says a rigid constitution cannot be amended while flexible ones can be. Obviously. B says rigid constitution requires a special procedure for amendment, right? Whereas flexible ones can be amended like ordinary laws. Obviously. This is the biggest difference, right? Rigid constitution can be or requires a special procedure. Special procedure means provisions can be amended by special majority, not by simple majority. right? And flexible constitution means what? The provisions of constitution can be amended by simple majority, just like any other ordinary law, right? Take example of Britain, right? It is flexible because there is parliamentary sovereignty, right, or parliamentary supremacy, and it can amend, right, any provisions by simple amendment procedure, just like any other ordinary law. That's why very famous proverb about British constitution, that it can do anything except changing a man into woman, right? So this would be the right answer, but read other options too. C says rigid constitutions are only found in federal system, whereas flexible ones exist in unitary system. Not necessary, right? Right? It may happen or may not happen, right? D says rigid constitutions are more democratic than flexible ones. No, actually, a democratic constitution should be flexible, not very flexible, but flexible, not very rigid, right? That's why India has blend of both, right? Some of its provision can be amended by simple majority, right? Because India is a democratic public, right? And to uphold or the to save the constitution foundational principles or basic structure, some provisions have or what or can be amended by rigid procedure, that is special majority, right? So the correct answer, right, would be option B, right? Option B is the right answer, that rigid constitution requires a special procedure for amendment, whereas flexible ones can be amended just like any ordinary laws, right? So see the explanation, right? This is the explanation, right? So that's all for today, and from tomorrow we will discuss again 10 MCQs that will be related with static portion of polity. Till then, keep revising, keep practicing, because prelims is at the door, right? Thank you for watching.